Krishna Book, Chapter 27. Praise by Indra, the King of Heaven. When Krishna saved the inhabitants of Vrindavan from the wrath of Indra by lifting Govardhan hill, a Surabhi cow from Goloka Vrindavan, as well as King Indra from the heavenly planets, appeared before him. Indra, the King of Heaven, was conscious of his offense before Krishna. Therefore, he stealthily appeared before him in a secluded place. He immediately fell down at the lotus feet of Krishna. Although his own crown was dazzling like sunshine, Indra knew about the exalted position of Krishna because Krishna is the master of Indra, but he could not believe that Krishna could come down and live in Vrindavan among the cowherd men. When Krishna defied the authority of Indra, Indra became angry because he thought that he was all in within this universe and that no one was as powerful as he. But after this incident, his false puffed up prestige was destroyed. Being conscious of his subordinate position, he appeared before Krishna with folded hands and began to offer the following prayers. My dear Lord, Indra said, being puffed up by my false prestige, I thought that you had offended me by not allowing the cowherd men to perform the Indra Yagya, and I thought that you wanted to enjoy the offerings that were arranged for the sacrifice. I thought that in the name of a Govardhan sacrifice, you were taking my share of profit, and therefore I mistook your position. Now by your grace, I can understand that you are the Supreme Lord, the personality of Godhead, and that you are transcendental to all material qualities. Your transcendental position is Vasuddha Sattva, which is above the platform of the material mode of goodness, and your transcendental abode is beyond the disturbance of the material qualities. Your name, fame, form, qualities, paraphernalia, and pastimes are all beyond this material nature, and they are never disturbed by the three material modes. Your abode is accessible only for one who undergoes severe austerities and penances and becomes completely freed from the onslaught of material qualities like passion and ignorance. If someone thinks that when you enter within this material world, you accept the modes of material nature, he is mistaken. The waves of material qualities are never able to touch you, and you certainly do not accept them when you are present within this world. Your lordship is never conditioned by the laws of material nature. My dear Lord, you are the original father of this cosmic manifestation. You are the supreme spiritual master of this cosmic world, and you are the original proprietor of everything. As eternal time, you are competent to chastise offenders. Within this material world, there are many fools like me who consider themselves to be the Supreme Lord or the all in all within the universe. You are so merciful that without accepting their offenses, you devise means so that their false prestige is subdued and they can know you and no one else are the Supreme Personality of Godhead. My dear Lord, you are the Supreme Father, the Supreme Spiritual Master, and the Supreme King. Therefore, you have the right to chastise all living entities whenever there is any discrepancy in their behavior. The Father, the Spiritual Master, and the Supreme Executive Officer of the state are always well-wishers of their sons, their students, and their citizens respectfully. As such, the well-wishers have the right to chastise their dependents. By your own desire, you appear auspiciously on the earth in your eternal varieties of forms. You come to glorify the earthly planet and specifically to chastise persons who are falsely claiming to be God. In the material world, there is irregular competition between different types of living entities to become supreme leaders of society. And after being frustrated in achieving the supreme positions of leadership, foolish persons claim to be God, the Supreme Personality. There are many such foolish personalities in this world, like me, but in due course of time, when they come to their senses, they surrender unto you and again engage themselves properly by rendering service unto you. And that is the purpose of your chastising persons envious of you. My dear Lord, I committed a great offense unto your lotus feet, being falsely proud of my material opulences not knowing your unlimited power. Therefore, my Lord, kindly excuse me because I am fool number one. Kindly give me your blessing so that I may not act so foolishly again. If you think, my Lord, that the offense is very great and cannot be excused, then I appeal to you that I am your eternal servant. You appear in this world to give protection to your eternal servants and to destroy the demons who maintain great military strength, just to burden the very existence of the earth. As I am your eternal servant, kindly excuse me. My dear Lord, you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead. I offer my respectful obeisances unto you, because you are the Supreme Person and the Supreme Soul. You are the Son of Vasudev, and you are the Supreme Lord, Krishna, the Master of all pure devotees. Please accept my prostrated obeisances. You are the personification of supreme knowledge. You can appear anywhere according to your desire, in any one of your eternal forms. You are the root of all creation and the supreme soul of all living entities. Due to my gross ignorance, I created a great disturbance in Vrindavan by sending torrents of rain and a heavy hailstorm. I acted out of severe anger caused by your stopping the sacrifice which was to be held to satisfy me. But, my dear Lord, you are so kind to me that you have bestowed your mercy upon me by destroying all my false pride. I therefore take shelter of your lotus feet. My dear Lord, you are not only the supreme controller, but also the spiritual master of all living entities. Thus praised by Indra, Lord Krishna, the supreme personality of Godhead, smiled beautifully and then replied in a grave voice, like a rumbling cloud, My dear Indra, I stopped your sacrifice just to show you my causeless mercy and to remind you that I am your eternal master. I am the master not only of you, but of all the other demigods as well. You should always remember that all your material opulences are due to my mercy. No living entity can act independently, become opulent. One must be favored by my mercy. Everyone should always remember that I am the Supreme Lord. I can show anyone my favor, and I can chastise anyone, because no one is superior to me. If I find someone overpowered by false pride, in order to show him my causeless mercy, I withdraw all his opulences. It is noteworthy that Krishna sometimes removes all of a rich man's opulences in order to facilitate his becoming a soul surrendered to him. This is a special favor of the Lord's. Sometimes it is seen that a person is very opulent materially, but due to his devotional service to the Lord, he may be reduced to poverty. One should not think, however, that because he worshipped the Supreme Lord, he became poverty stricken. The real purport is that when a person is a pure devotee, but at the same time, by miscalculation, wants to lord it over material nature, the Lord shows his special mercy by taking away all material opulences until at last he surrenders unto the Supreme Lord. After instructing Indra, Lord Krishna asked him to return to his kingdom in the heavenly planets and to remember always that he is never the supreme, but is always subordinate to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He also advised him to remain as king of heaven, but to be careful of false pride. After this, the transcendental Surabhi cow, who had come with Indra to see Krishna, offered her respectful obeisances unto him and worshipped him. The Surabhi offered her praise as follows: My dear Krishna, you are the most powerful of all mystic yogis, because you are the soul of the complete universe, and only from you has all this cosmic manifestation taken place. Therefore, although Indra tried his best to kill my descendant cows in Vrindavan, they remained under your shelter, and you have protected them all so well. We do not know anyone else as the supreme, nor do we go to any other god or demigods for protection. Therefore, you are our Indra. You are the Supreme Father of the whole cosmic manifestation, and you are the protector and elevator of all the cows, brahmanas, demigods, and others who are pure devotees of your Lordship. O Super Soul of the universe, let us bathe you with our milk, for you are our Indra. O Lord, you appear just to diminish the burden of impure activities on the earth. Then the Surabhi cow bathed Krishna with her milk, and Indra bathed him with the water of the celestial Ganges through the tongue of his carrier elephant. After this, the Surabhi cows and all the demigods and their mothers joined the heavenly king Indra in worshipping Lord Krishna but bathing him with Ganges water and the milk of the Surabhis. Thus, Govinda, Lord Krishna, was pleased with all of them. The residents of all higher planetary systems, such as Gandharvaloka, Vidyadharloka, Siddhaloka, and Charanaloka, all combined and glorified the Lord by chanting his holy name, as their wives and damsels danced with great joy. They very much satisfied the Lord by incessantly pouring flowers from the sky. When everything was very nicely and joyfully settled, the cows overflooded the surface of the earth with their milk. The water of the rivers began to flow with various tasty liquids and give nourishment to the trees, producing fruits and flowers of different colors and tastes. The trees began to pour drops of honey. The hills and mountains began to produce potent medicinal plants and valuable stones. Because of Krishna's presence, all these things happened very nicely, and the lower animals who were generally envious of one another were envious no longer. After satisfying Krishna, who is the lord of all the cows in Vrindavan and who is known as Govinda, King Indra took his permission to return to his heavenly kingdom. As he passed through cosmic space, he was surrounded by all kinds of demigods. This great incident is a powerful example of how Krishna consciousness can benefit the world. Even the lower animals forget their envious nature and become elevated to the qualities of the demigods. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of the 27th chapter of Krishna, praised by Indra, the king of heaven.
Hare Krishna. Om Jnana Timidantasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sthapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupakada Mahyam Tadhati Shapadantikam Vandehang Shri Guru Shri Jatapada Kamalang Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raganatan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Pradijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lolita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kamshana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hodi Priye Vansha Kolpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindho Bhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. The cowherd men have talked about the wonderful glories of Krishna. And now Indra comes with Surabhi to surrender to the Lord and offer him prayers. Indra, of course, had been a great offender, especially by seeking to harm or kill the cows and the Rajvasis due to false pride. And so now he realized that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Indra was thinking himself very powerful, riding on his elephant and carrying thunderbolt and commanding so many clouds. But Krishna proved that you're a little nonsense rascal. So Indra could now understand. And so he came with Surabhi. The Lord may be a little, favorably inclined toward Surabhi. He is the well-wisher of the cows. So Indra came in the company of Surabhi. And Indra was genuinely ashamed. It wasn't just a pro forma apology. It wasn't just official. He genuinely felt foolish for having offended the Lord and the devotees. So he surrendered. And he offered his prayers. Significantly, in Krishna books, sometimes Srila Prabhupada speaks less and sometimes speaks more. So these prayers of Indra, he sort of fluffs out a little bit. Not terribly, not extremely, but he expands them enough so that we get a good sense of what's going on here, who Krishna actually is, and what it means to surrender, and why Indra had been so foolish. As usual, these prayers are full of philosophy, and so that's the real benefit for us, that we can understand the philosophical truths expressed in these prayers. The Indra glorified Krishna for having a transcendental form beyond the modes of nature. Every living being is assumed a material body according to the modes of nature, according to karma, but Krishna is transcendental to all that. His form is completely on the spiritual platform and free from passion and ignorance. His form is the form of Vishuddha Sattva, pure goodness. So, yes. So Krishna imposes punishment for the benefit of the living entities. Just as a father sometimes imposes punishment on a son, not out of hatred, but for the benefit of the son. And here also it said, you are the father, the spiritual master, and your time itself imposing punishment on the sinful living beings. Indra was fortunate Krishna personally came to chastise him. Otherwise, the rest of us, we just get time smashing us. But here, out of mercy, Indra personally got smashed by the Lord. And in this way, his false pride was removed. The pride is enemy of the conditioned soul. He thinks that he's great, or he thinks that he's God, even out of foolishness. But when sufficiently punished by Krishna, he may come to his senses and understand that he's just a poor, miserable living being under the sway of the modes of nature. So he prays that the Lord comes to destroy the power of unnecessary military strength of the oppressive rulers who burden the earth. It's a warning. We may be very powerful. We may have command over armies and wealth. Finally, Krishna will smash us. We may be, yes. Finally, Krishna will smash us. The Lord assumes bodies of different forms, transcendental forms, according to the desire of the devotee. And so again, you've shown mercy to me by smashing my false pride. And so now I've come to you for shelter. And Prabhupada speaks sort of, paraphrases that verse, Yasyaham manugranami hadishe tadtanam shanai. And I really favor someone. I take away his opulence. So, yes. A man blinded by intoxication with power and opulence, I'm looking at the Bhagavatam translations, can't see me. But if I desire his real welfare, I drag him down from his materially fortunate position. When we're dragged down from a materially fortunate position, we think that we're being, harmed. But actually it's for our benefit. So Krishna tells Indra, you can stay in your position as king of heaven. This is Krishna's magnanimity. Someone commits an offense, okay, that's it, you're out. You're not the pujari anymore, or you can't be the book distribution leader, or you can't be the temple president, or you can't be, whatever it is that you are, okay, you're out because you did this inexcusable thing, and so we're just kicking you out, finished. And you can go rectify yourself somewhere. But Krishna is so magnanimous, stay in your position. It's okay, you stay Indra, but without the false pride. Sometimes we saw that Prabhupada did that. Some disciple would mess up quite badly, and you'd think that's it, he'll just be tossed. And Prabhupada wouldn't toss him. He'd keep him in his spot, or sometimes even promote him. Give him Prabhupada one time said in Krishna consciousness, there's no punishment. Sometimes he would punish, but he would be kind in that way, that, all right, you keep your service, your position, but rectify. And Prabhupada said that. He said to throw someone out is very easy. We can throw you all out and makes management a lot easier. We don't have to, we can deal with 10 people instead of 20. That makes management easier, and we don't have to deal with your difficult personality and your temper tantrums or whatever it is. everything will be nice and smooth because we'll only have the good people, not the difficult cases. So it's easy to throw people out, assuming we have enough replacement personnel. You say, oh, we don't need you. Krishna doesn't need you. You want to be like that? Go ahead. Go have your temper tantrum someplace else. But Prabhupada was more for rectifying than removing. More for rectifying than removing. Let the person continue. Not always, of course, sometimes someone would be removed, but more often than not, I saw he would want to see that why should we smash someone and throw him out when our goal is how to bring people up. So let him stay in his position. You take someone down, then he becomes disheartened and goes away, and what was the gain? Just some administrative, what's the word? Smoothness, administrative advantage. We want to see that people make progress, so let them continue in their service, but let them learn from their mistakes and be humble and continue. And even sometimes if they mess up again, all right, so straighten them out again. We saw that too with Srila Prabhupada. Someone would mess up. Still, Prabhupada would be very slow to just say, okay, you're finished. He would try to bring someone up, give someone another opportunity. So Krishna does this. He smashes Indra. That's clear. He smashes his false pride. But he doesn't take him out. He doesn't remove him. You remain Indra. But remember what it means to be Indra. You're not the supreme controller of everything. You're the servant of the supreme controller. And Indra, to his credit, he saw that I've been behaving like a fool. And so let me surrender. All right, you surrendered. And that's another feature. When someone surrenders, then we should be kind. He surrendered. Even Parikshit Maharaj became kind to the personality of Kali because Kali surrendered. Kali surrendered. There's a verse, Lord Ramchandra said, if someone surrenders to me even once, then I make him my ward. Someone just says once, all right, I surrendered. All right, that's it, you're surrendered. And I'll take special care. And there's some discussion that even if the person then commits some great offense, the Lord considers, well, I've made him my devotee. I've taken responsibility for him. So now I can't just treat him like an ordinary person. I have to treat him like a devotee. So that's the advantage. If one just surrenders to Krishna, even if someone, what is that? Krishna says. Yeah, we were, of course, the famous Api Chet Sudaracharo, but we were reading another verse the other day, in third canto, I think, from Bhagavatam, where Krishna says essentially the same thing. We could probably find it, but it would be not easy. The same as Api Chet Sudaracharo. It's in a purport. Third canto purport in relation to Brahma. Maybe you'll see it. But although it might only have been in Vishwanath. No, I think Prabhupada quoted it too. So it's easy to be, what's the word, self-righteous and say, this person has to go, this person has to go, that person has to go, this person has to go. They all have to go. And Prabhupada said that's very easy, just getting rid of people. But that's not, if we got rid of everyone who offended, there'd be no one left. It's there in Shakespeare. If we were all treated as we deserve, none of us would escape whipping. So so Prabhupada was for that. Did you find the verse? You didn't find it. Okay. To rectify, not to remove. So Krishna is the original person who does that. He rectifies Indra and lets him continue. Then Surabhi offers her prayers and says, "We accept you as our Indra." Indra means God, controller, Lord. So there's this Indra over here, King Indra, but actually you're the Indra. We accept you as our Indra. That's Surabhi's statement. And then Surabhi and Lord Indra performed essentially an abhishek, a ceremonial bathing of Lord Krishna. And the demigods and sages glorified him. And the usual flowers and so on. And the cows filled the surface of the earth with milk, and the rivers flowed, and the trees provided honey, and plants gave everything needed. The hills gave jewels. And all the living entities, even those cruel by nature, became free of enmity. And Prabhupada said that's the benefit of Krishna consciousness. Yeah. Swapada bhajata priyasya tvaktvanya bhavasya hari paresha vikarma yach chodpatitam katanchit tunoti sarvam hridisannavishta. Anyone engaged 100% in the transcendental loving service of the Lord at the Lord's lotus feet is very dear to the personality of Godhead. Yes. Swapadamulam bhajata priyasya, one who serves the lotus feet of the Lord becomes priya, becomes dear to the Lord. Tvakt anya bhavasya hari paresha, giving up, the person gives up everything just to surrender to the Lord. So the Lord, being situated in the heart of the devotee, excuses all kinds of sins committed by chance. Tunoti sarvam hridisannavishta, he's situated in the heart of the devotee. So vikarma yat cha utpatitam katanchit. By chance, he may commit some vikarma, some sinful activity. Utpatitam. He may fall down in some way. Katanchit, somehow or other. But tunoti sarvam. Tunoti sarvam means he cleanses the heart of hridyantasto hibhadrani vidhunoti suhrit satam. So that's Krishna. He doesn't just say, all right, you're finished. But he looks to purify the devotee from within. He sees he's a devotee. Now, one shouldn't use it as an excuse. I'm a devotee, so I can do anything nonsense. That's called one moment. Oh, goodness. To commit sinful activities on the strength of chanting the holy name of the Lord. Namnad palad yasyahi papabhuti. A very sinful mentality that I'm a devotee, so it's okay. I have like a license to kill, I'm a devotee, so I can do anything. And chant Hare Krishna also, and by chanting Hare Krishna, I'll get free from all the reactions for what I'm doing, so I can have my cake and eat it too. I can perform sinful activities and not get any reactions because I'll put my hand in my bead bag and chant, or I'll go into the temple and lead a kirtan. And so then I can be sinful and pure at the same time. So that's not accepted. That's still more offensive to the holy name of the Lord. One should not think that because I'm a devotee, I can do all of this nonsense. Ajamil committed all sorts of sinful activities, but he was excused by the Lord because he didn't think that, well, because I'm a devotee, I can do all of this. Somehow he became captivated by Maya, but he wasn't offensive. He was sinful, but he wasn't offensive in this way, thinking that I can do all of this because I'm a Brahmin, or I'm a Vaishnava, or whatever. So I'll just chant Narayan and get free from all. No. By circumstances, he became implicated in something sinful. But he was chanting the holy name of Narayan without offense, even though it was indirect. It was just to call his son. But Krishna took it. He must be my devotee. He's chanting my holy name. And what to speak of a person who actually is a devotee and is chanting the holy name of the Lord. And crucial here, regrets sinful activities. He doesn't think that, well, it was okay, it was just a small thing. I tried to wipe out Vrindavan, but or whatever it is, he doesn't think that, well, it's kind of okay. I deserve to be cut some slack because I'm a Vaishnava. That's Namnad Papa, Apalad Papa, Yasyahi Papa Bhuti. On the strength of chanting the holy name, to think it's okay, I can commit sinful activities. That's not accepted. But if someone accidentally, by circumstance, by after all, it's a fight with Maya. And sometimes Maya gets in a good punch. So, but the devotee recovers. He thinks, no, whatever. She may have punched me, I may have fallen, but I'm not going to stop serving. I'm not going to stop serving. So then Krishna takes that into account. That's more important. Utpatitam dunoti. He purifies the devotee, Kriti Sannivishta, from within. And in this way the chapter ends. Let's see. Indra returns to his kingdom, and the living entities, who are even those cruel by nature, become free from envy. That's the effect of Krishna consciousness. That generally everyone is envious of everyone else. If you're making progress, I'm unhappy because now you're moving ahead of me. And if you're dragged down in some way, Hare Krishna. And if you're dragged down in some way, now I feel happy because my position, relatively speaking, has gone up. The more others go down, the more I come up. The more they come up, then the more I'm relatively down. So I'm happy when you're unhappy, and I'm miserable when you're happy. This is envy. Matsarata, envy. But near Matsaranam Satam, the devotees are free from envy. Nirmatsuro pujito. If someone's free from envy, he's practically worshipable. The Goswamis were not envious. They'd been on top of the world practically. Rupa Goswami was, Sanatana Goswami were great government ministers. Raghunath Das Goswami was the son of a multimillionaire and had a gorgeous wife. But they gave it all up. Chakvaturnam Shesha Mandala Pratishanim. Sadat Tuchavat. Insignificant. So they had nothing to be envious of. They'd achieved all success and rejected it as Maya. So they were non-envious, and they were actually very kind. Rup Sanatan, even the regular villagers of Vrindavan at the time, Rup and Sanatan were very kind to them, very kind to them. Even if they had some family dispute, they would come to Rupa Sanatan. Sir, this was the problem. She said this, and he did that, and they would sort it out, just out of affection. Not really the business of the sannyasis to be engaged in that kind of business. But they would, Hare Krishna, they would come and say, Baba, this is the problem. And they'd sort it out for them. So they were well-wishers to the Brajbasis and to everyone, were benefiting from the kindness of the Goswamis, left us so many books and left us instructions about devotional service. So this is the quality of the devotees, nirvatsara. And here it said that even the lower animals who are naturally envious, as soon as there's a scrap of something, there's 5 monkeys fighting for it. Dogs, monkeys, they're all, why should you have it? I should have it. But they, in the presence of Krishna, they even became non-envious. So if we want to have a society free from envy and nastiness, cruelty, then we should spread Krishna consciousness. People will become, develop the godly qualities. Okay, are there some comments, questions?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So my question is, are devotees outside of the control of karma, the law of karma? And I want to add, I heard the day before that guilt, about guilt. Isn't guilt also...
Well, let's do one thing at a time.
Yeah.
The karma first and guilt.
Yes.
Because you have 2 questions, right?
Yes, I have 2 questions.
Okay, let's start with one, because otherwise 2 questions is just about my limit. Right. I start forgetting the first one.
Okay.
So karmani nirdahati kintucha bhakti bhaja. In Brahma Samhita it said that not only are devotees free from karma, but their activities of devotional service free them from past karma. Not only are my present activities free from karma, but my past karmic reactions get burned up by the effect of devotional service. It may not be immediate. Everything's poof, burned up. But it happens. One's activities, because now I'm serving Krishna. When I'm serving myself, I'm responsible. I'm the one who's wants to benefit, so I have to take the rap, I have to take the punishment for the offenses done for that cause. And there's always offenses done. We're always knowingly or unknowingly, usually knowingly, or sometimes unknowingly, we're causing harm to others, we're causing offense, we're doing something wrong, and then we have to suffer. But when I'm acting for Krishna, then it's on Krishna's account. Then I'm not responsible for the reactions. Prabhupada gives the example that in the war, or in ordinary life, if you kill someone, then you're going to be hanged or you're going to be thrown in prison for life because it's totally illegal. But in the war, on behalf of your country, you can go out and kill 20, 40, or 100 people, and instead of killing you, they put a medal on you. You're a great hero. You killed so many men. So the same thing that would be a crime if you did it for yourself becomes a credit when you do it for the government. So for the state, for the nation. So the same thing that if I did it for my own sense gratification would be sinful, becomes a credit when it's done for the service of Krishna. So then there's no karma for that, and my past karma is practically reduced to the minimum. I think Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says it's not reduced to zero. Some past reaction has to be there, otherwise our bodies would disappear. My body is a result of my past karma. So if all the results of my past karma were suddenly wiped out, poof, people would, where'd he go? Oh, something is left, but reduced to the minimum. Is that all right? And your second question?
Yes, in relation to punishment, is guilt also punishment?
Is guilt also punishment? Yes. Sambhavitasya chakirtir maranada tirichite. Dishonor. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that dishonor feels worse than death. And that's one sign of guilt, that one feels dishonored, dishonorable. So then that burns the heart. And it's said that that all the reactions of sinful activities in the heart, the impurities, are cleansed by the fire of repentance. Guilt doesn't mean just I walk around feeling guilty. It means that I recognize that I need to change. I was thinking that I was Indra. I was thinking that I was the great king. Now I have to become a humble servant of Krishna. So it's weird. We have a modern psychology that says, guilt is bad. You don't want to walk around with guilt. That's a terrible thing. People shouldn't be made to feel guilty. You attend our seminar and you'll get free from feelings of guilt. That's the stupidest thing in the world. When we're wrong, we should feel guilty. A person who can't feel guilt is a psychopath. Right? You can walk into a schoolroom and shoot it out and kill 30 or 40 kids and then feel, that was fun. They're psychopaths. They can't feel guilt. So a normal person, or a person who has a healthy mentality, feels guilty when he does something wrong. Or even beforehand feels, I can't do that. He doesn't have to wait to do it and feel guilty. He thinks, I can't do that. That would be wrong. I might like to do that. I might think it would be cool to do that. I might think it would be fun. I might think it would be a great adventure or a great opportunity. Or maybe I might even profit. but it's wrong. I can't do that. He has a moral compass. He has a sense of what's to be done and what's not to be done. From Shastra, one should know this is what I can do and this is what I shouldn't do. So he feels less guilty because he doesn't do these things. That's the real way not to feel guilty. Don't do stupid things. Don't act wrongly. Act according to Shastra. But somehow if one does something, then one should feel guilty. One should feel guilty. But Rupa Goswami, Nectar of Devotion, cautions us that we shouldn't feel guilty in such a way or that it diminishes our devotional service. The best thing one can do if one has acted wrongly is to purify oneself by serving Krishna. There's nothing more purifying than devotional service itself. There are different penances you can do, and I'll say 120 Hail Marys, or I'll whip myself, or I'll go to the Himalayas and do austerities, or whatever it is. But there's actually nothing more purifying than devotional service. What is that? Tatsvayam Samsid Kalenan. What is that? Tatsvayam Sarvasang Siddha. I don't know where it is. Anyway, Rupa Goswami says, if you feel guilty, that's good. When you do something wrong, you should feel guilty. But if you feel so guilty, I can never serve Krishna again, then what's the point? Then you're indulging in sense gratification again. It's another excuse for not serving Krishna. I'm so fallen, so I can't serve. No, I may be fallen, I may be rotten, I may be an offender, I may be so many things, but I won't give up serving. Is that okay?
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Something else?
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
So, the mode at which Prabhupada used to deal with devotees, and also what we see, what Krishna did to Indra, reminds me of the pastime of Jagai and Madhai, where Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very hungry and he was about to chop their lives out, but by the plea of Nityananda Prabhu, the impurities were removed. Otherwise,
the Nityananda appeal to the Lord. If you kill Jagai and Madhai for their sins, what happens to your mission? Because everybody's like Jagai and Madhai as Kali Yuga progresses. So they're like the typical offenders of this age. If you kill them, what happens to your mission? Please be kind to them, be merciful to them, forgive them. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, by the intercession of Lord Nityananda Prabhu, yes, all right. Nityananda Prabhu is the original spiritual master. He's very kind. But we shouldn't take advantage, think, my spiritual master is very kind. He'll understand. And so I can do all these sinful things. That's bad. But somehow, if by some mistake, some circumstance, we do something wrong, then the kind spiritual master is inclined to help. But still there may be some damage, just like, who is that Kala Krishna Das? Was it Krishna, Kala Krishna Das? he got implicated. He was Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's assistant, but he got implicated with the Pataharis. They were some kind of nomadic, low-life people, and the women were loose, and so they seduced him, and he got dragged down. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu retrieved him, pulled him out, and brought him back to the... pulled him by the shika practically, and brought him back to devotional service. But then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu dropped him as his assistant. He came back to Puri, I guess, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, okay, you stay here. And the devotees were kind. They engaged him suitably. But he lost the personal service of being Lord Chaitanya's direct assistant. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, give me someone peaceful and someone, who's not going to get in trouble that way. So he was saved, but still there was some scar. So we should try not to transgress. We should strictly follow the vows that we've taken, the principles that we're meant to follow, and not have to feel sorry later or rationalize that actually it's okay, or that Krishna will understand, or Guru Maharaj will forgive me, or whatever it is. We should act with integrity. We should act according to Shastra, according to our duty. That will be better. Yeah. Something else? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Thank you very much to recall this quote from Srila Prabhupada that don't remove but rectify. I remember when I joined the movement, that was the first sentence which really caught my heart, that Prabhupada said this, and then I felt that, okay, now we are talking. So then that really touched my heart. And then actually at that time, immediately I faced some situation in my area, in my yatra, that devotees were not allowed to come to the temple for this and that reason. And I remember I had a chance to ask the GBC about this, and he was very kind, and he explained in a podcast to everybody that because we are a community, and in order to protect the members, sometimes we have to act like this. So that also sounded very logical. So
yes, that's also there. That not that we become a society where there's no standards and where the members aren't safe because anyone could do anything to anyone, and the management will say, well, he's a devotee, and you should forgive, and then there's no law and order even. There's no one's safe, there's no standard, and then you become a society of rascals. That should not be. That should not be. Similarly, we hear so often Prabhupada built a house in which everyone can live, but Prabhupada said the temple should not become a place for lazies and crazies. Not that you just invite every lazy, crazy person, because this is a house that all the lazies and crazies can live in. And then no sane person wants to live there. So it's really been sort of pushed a lot that Prabhupada built a house that everyone can live in. And so then you You lose all discrimination. And no lazies and crazies. And sometimes probably to let them go home to their mothers, those who want to live just at the expense of the society and be lazy. Let them go home to their mothers. Not that we have to accommodate them. It's not a free hotel. It's very nice. You come join the ISKCON and you get free food and a free place to stay, and you can be all nonsense and sleep all day. Let them go home to their mothers. But apart from just being lazy and crazy, yes, we have to sometimes protect the members. So you can't come here. You have to go someplace else. So we try to act in such a way that they'll also have something, that they'll be benefited. We don't just try to strike their heads with iron bars and smash them until there's nothing left. But so we try to act for their benefit also, but sometimes punishment is also beneficial. And more particularly, as your GBC man said, that we have to protect the members. So sometimes it's seen that people are grossly taking advantage of others. They're exploiting the women, or they're exploiting children in unconscionable ways. So you get out. Why should everyone be at risk so that you can live in the house? You can't live in the house. You're an animal. You're not an animal, you're a devotee, but you're behaving like an animal. So then go live in the field, because we can't have animals threatening the lives of the welfare of the devotees. So this is management. Management has to try to consider everything and work for the benefit of everyone. Yeah. But we try to see how to help everyone. We're sympathetic even to the offenders, but they can't go on exploiting, abusing other devotees grossly. Some abuse, call you a bad name, and okay, that may be forgiven. But there comes a point where we say, this is not acceptable, this is not tolerable. And that's there also.
Hare Krishna. I was wondering, how do we know if a sin is committed by mistake or by choice? Because sometimes...
How do we know if a sin is committed by accident or by choice?
Because sometimes we make the choice to be in a certain situation which is more prone to make mistakes in. So yeah. Is it just a mistake, or is it actually your choice?
It's an interesting question. It appears not to be a clearly defined category. This was by mistake, this was by choice. How do you know exactly? And from one point of view, sort of as you were indicating, everything's by choice. We're in the material world by choice. We're in, what's the word? We're risky circumstances or risky association by choice. And finally, if we do something sinful, well, it was our choice. We didn't have to. And if no one was holding a gun to our head, and sometimes even, all right, pull the trigger, I'm not going to do it. A really exalted person, noble person, all right, pull the trigger, but I'm not going to do that. But that's an extraordinary person. So, otherwise, we say, well, they were going to kill me. They were going to kill him. So what could he do? So it's hard. May not be easy to determine this was by choice. For ourselves, we should think it was my choice. We shouldn't take advantage of chance and say, oh, well, you know, it was just the circumstance and what could I do? You know, that's the what could I do? What could I do? What could I do? What could I do? You know, it wasn't somehow or other, it was due to circumstance. It was due to somebody else. It was due to anything but my own misuse of free will. So for ourselves, better to think that it was my foolish choice or my wrong choice. That will be better, rather than think, well, it was just a fluke. It's not really my fault. Better to be responsible, and I'll take responsibility. The person with no integrity, he may do anything, and then he says, well, you know, just like Kamsa, you know, I know I killed so many of your children, but, you know, destiny is so powerful. You know, blame it on destiny. Blame it on anyone but yourself. So please be merciful. You know, I was under the control of time and all of that. He won't really fess up and say, you know, it was me. I was envious. He does, comes a little bit, but really it was time. It was destiny. It was forces beyond my control. But a person of caliber, a person of integrity, takes the responsibility. I did this. It was terrible. It was me. So that's better. Accept the responsibility. And there's societies that really value that. I know in I think still today in Japan, you know, if a company there's mismanagement and you're the CEO or something, you resign. You don't do, well, you know, it was my right-hand man and I didn't really know what was going on and I wasn't informed and all this kind of stuff. I'm the CEO. The stock crashed. I'm responsible. I resign. And then, you know, people don't think, well, great man, but they say, well, he had some integrity. He took the responsibility. He took the responsibility. This went on under he doesn't make excuses. My godbrother, I think I mentioned this before, my godbrother Shesh Prabhu, as a young man, attended the United States Military Academy at West Point. And he said practically the first words he learned were, no excuses, sir. Right? They catch you out. No excuses, sir. Not, it was this guy, it was that guy, it was faulty equipment, it was this or that. No excuses. So that's a sign. We can, even if a person messes up, we feel some, well, all right, at least he accepted the responsibility. So for ourselves, we should see it that way. For others, we may be more liberal. We see, well, she made a mistake. It was a difficult circumstance. It was, you know, I don't know if I would have done any better, and so on. We can try to be sympathetic and kind and forgiving. But for ourselves, better to not blame destiny, not blame Krishna, not blame material nature, not blame my God brothers and God sisters, not blame the GBC, not blame anyone we can find to pin the blame on. Let me take responsibility. Then that results in some purification. If it wasn't me, if it wasn't my fault, then what is there to regret, really? Except that, you know, except your actions, somebody else, some other force beyond me. But if I messed up, then I have to purify myself, so that's good. Yes.
Hare Krishna. Maharaj, to the what extent this process of free will works in any decision we take consciously?
To what extent does free will work?
The process of free will works in any conscious decision we take in our lives.
Well, this is an interesting question. I once asked this question of Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Maharaj. To what extent do we have free choice in ordinary affairs? We know that we have our free choice ultimately boils down to turning toward Krishna and turning away from Krishna, right? That's the bottom line on free choice. It's always misuse of our tiny independence that by turning away from Krishna. My question was rather specific. What about ordinary day-to-day decisions? You're at a fruit stand and they're selling apples, oranges, and bananas. To what extent are you free to choose bananas? Or to what extent is it just the result of your past karma that, no matter what, he's going to, apples, bananas, oranges, or beedies, cigarettes. To what extent do I have freedom to choose? Or to what extent is it just the result of my past karma? I'm impelled to do it. And his answer was that how much freedom we have depends on the particular modes of nature by which that we've acquired. So a person in the mode of ignorance has practically no freedom. Like an animal, just acts according to its impulses. It doesn't think, is this right? Is this wrong? Will this have consequences? Just according to, what's dictated by his senses, by his conditioned nature, he's bound to act. If he's a monkey, he'll act like a monkey. If he's a dog, he'll act like a dog. And if one is in the mode of ignorance, that's how one acts. What is that? Artavad alpam cha, knowledge in the mode of ignorance. Ayatavad. The person in the karma sakta mohetukam. The person in the mode of ignorance, all he knows is, I gotta work. Or lower than that, he doesn't even go to work because he's drunk or he's, but he has very little, this is, Yattu Krishna vade kasmin karye sakta mohetukam atat vartavad alpam chatat tamasamudaritam. That's knowledge in the mode of ignorance, basically no knowledge. All I know is some work that I'm attached to doing. I don't know why I'm doing it. I don't really understand anything. So a person in the mode of ignorance who's always working in the fog or in darkness. So how much freedom does he have to make an intelligent choice? His intelligence is practically not to be seen. So he has very little choice. Person in the mode of passion has greater choice. He sees things sometimes the right way and sometimes the wrong way, but he has some discrimination, some power. Sometimes he gets it right, sometimes he gets it wrong. Pratak tvena tu yajganam, nana bhavan pratak vidhan, deti sarveshu bhutesh. He sees people by material calculation. It tends to see friends and enemies and all of that. But he has some sort of intelligence, some discrimination. His passion is strong, so he's still kind of, I shouldn't do this, but I got to do it. He's still driven by forces outside of himself, but he can rise to the occasion. Sometimes he has higher discrimination. Not like the person in ignorance. There was just like no activity upstairs. He can think. Yeah, he can have a conscience. And in the mode of goodness, one sees things clearly. Sattvam sattvat sanjayate jnanam. From the mode of goodness, you get knowledge. So he looks at it and says, well, I've already got a cold and it's winter and bananas are cooling, so I'm not going to take bananas. I love coconut water, but this is January. I'm not going to take coconut water, I'll get sick. So he's got intelligence that he can use to make thoughtful decisions. And he has more freedom, and passion isn't saying to him, do it anyway, do it anyway, do it anyway. He has some freedom to decide. So the higher you go in the modes of nature, the more you have some freedom. Even, the human form of life probably gives that, the animals don't have the intelligence to make thoughtful decisions about their lives. They don't say, well, why should I live for sense gratification? Let me live for spiritual realization. That's the human prerogative. Therefore, Prabhupada said a person who doesn't do that is essentially no better than an animal. Bhagavatam says that. So the human form of life means we're not in that dark position that the animals are in. But the person deep in the mode of ignorance isn't too much higher than the animals. And a person in the mode of goodness, the more he's in goodness, the more he's free from the lower tendencies that are controlling everyone else's life. And if he becomes Krishna conscious, then he can decide to act for Krishna. He gets transcendental direction, Dadami Buddhi Yogam Tam. Krishna tells him what to do. He becomes conversant with Shastra. This is what I should do. This is what I should not do. He develops purity of heart so that he's not hanged around by nature. Even so that he doesn't become subtly attached to subtle sense gratification or subtle, smugness, complacency. He realizes that I'm a servant of Krishna, so then he has real freedom. Prabhupada mentions these 4 rules in some place. Devotees like the phrase, the regulative principles of freedom. Because by following the regulative principles, one actually becomes more free. You're not like driven every minute, where are my cigarettes, where are my cigarettes, where are my cigarettes? You have freedom because you've controlled your mind and senses. Or you have real freedom because you're engaged in Krishna's service. So does that answer your question? Okay. Yes.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Oh, I think it needs to be switched on.
Switched on, huh?
Yeah, you're good.
My question is, when Lord Krishna directed the people of Vrindavan to worship Govardhan Hill than Indra, so what is the lesson for us if he is the ultimate one to be worshipped?
Yes, Govardhan Hill, what's the lesson for us? He told the Brajbasis to worship Govardhan Hill. So instead of Indra, what's the lesson for us? The Govardhan Hill is identified with Krishna himself. So the lesson for us, and it's Krishna who told them, you worship Govardhan Hill. So instead of performing activities directed for sense gratification, whether it's worshiping demigods or doing fruitive activities, we should engage in the service of Krishna. Doing what Krishna says, that's service. And actually worshiping Govardhan Hill is service to Krishna, because the hill is non-different from Krishna. Therefore, you see today people are circumambulating the hill. We're worshiping the small stone that was taken from the hill, because it's taken to be, if I'm worshiping Govardhan, I'm worshiping Krishna. Or some people, or sometimes we think of Govardhan as being the best servant of Krishna. In that case, serving the servant of Krishna is even better than serving Krishna. So either way, we should be engaged in the service of Krishna and the servants of Krishna, and not be proud of our own positions. Thank you. We're out of time. We are. Time is over. And so you can save your question for another day or what have you. And we'll have Kirtan. And who's leading the Kirtan? You're leading Kirtan. Okay, you know the rules, right? One tune. Okay. One tune, sweet and melodious. Those are the rules. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama. Hare Hare Rama Rama Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Jaya Krishna Balaram Jaya Krishna Balaram Krishna Balaram Jaya Krishna Balaram Jaya Gauranitai 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 Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Radha Shyam Sundar Radha Shyam Sundar Radhe Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Gurudev 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari 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 Bol
Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki Jai Prem se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki Jai Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gop Gopinath Sham Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan ki Jai Vrindavan Dham ki Jai Navadip Dham ki Jai Jagannath Puri ki Jai Ganga Mai ki Jai, Jamuna Mai ki Jai, Tulsi Devi ki Jai, Bhakti Devi ki Jai, Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Gaur Premanande Haribol. We'll introduce a new rule for the kirtans. We've all been trained to think that at the end of the kirtan we should chant the names of the deities, we should chant Jai Gurudev, we should chant a whole lot of Jais. In my kirtans, that is to say in my classes, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Bas. Yeah. Prabhupada didn't chant Jai Radha something something. He just chanted Hare Krishna. And so in my classes, at least. Okay? Good. Thank you. Yes? What? Which? I couldn't hear. What? Invocation. Obeisances to Prabhupada at the beginning? Is that what you... Yeah, the obeisances to Prabhupada. Yeah, you can do that. That's what we, of course, for our little 3-minute kirtans, which is sometimes what they are. But yeah, that's all right. But no jais. They're not sinful, but they're so obligatory these days in ISKCON, and there's no reason for it to be obligatory. And all this obligatory stuff, and then there's no time left for chanting Hare Krishna, because sometimes you hear in like a Mangalarti, Gruvastakam, and then Radha something, and then there's a Kirtan, and then halfway through the Kirtan, Radha something, and then at the end, Radha something. And Jai this and Jai that. It's there in Mangalarti, right? And you have to, after Vibhavri Sheshas and is over, you get like 8 minutes for Mahamantra, and then 4 of those you spend chanting Jai Didi, Jai Didi, Jai Didi, Jai Didi. So Hare Krishna Mahamantra, sufficient for all purposes. And another kirtan is what you want to do. It's on your own dime, as they say. It's up to you. But at least in my classes. All right. Thank you all very much. And even if you chanted the names of the deities, it's not sinful. You still get prasadam. Hare Krishna.